We're here tonight with Father Nick Anton. And just to clarify for our listeners, in case, especially, sometimes we have listeners who have not been Orthodox long or maybe aren't even Orthodox yet. The assembly, so as you mentioned, there was SCOBA, which was originally kind of a synod of all the bishops in America, all the different kinds of Orthodox bishops, like the Russians and the Serbians and the Greeks and everybody, right? And so we had SCOBA. SCOBA eventually became the Assembly of Canonical Orthodox Bishops. And then, but as you mentioned, there was a change in focus because wasn't it originally the idea of getting all the bishops together was really like, let's figure out how we're going to be one jurisdiction. And then there are so many obstacles and things in the way of that it's like, okay, how about instead we just all really work together and create one presence? Is that pretty accurate as a summary, or what would you say?
Pretty much, yeah. So SCOBA was just certain heads of jurisdictions. It wasn't all of the bishops. And one of the reasons the assembly was created is actually to include all of the bishops that are active in the United States of America. And they were created. There's an assembly of bishops throughout the world. Not all of them are super active, but a few of them are. And ours is very active, obviously. But in 2014, was it 2008, the Pan-Orthodox Synaxes of Primates got together in Chambéry. That's all the heads of autocephalous churches globally. And they could each bring a couple people or whatever. And they were doing these pre-conciliar meetings, they were calling them. And one of the things they said is we're going to create these assemblies of bishops throughout the world, and they're going to have two tasks, essentially. One task is we want them to create canonical regional plans. That is what you were talking about, that they need to create a structure that would be one church wherever they are in the world. They didn't say that, need to be autocephalous or autonomous or any of these steps. They just said, create what that structure looks like and give us the plan for when we have a great and holy council, we can make those decisions there. The other thing you should be doing along the way is the pastoral side, which is start working together, like where it makes sense, have common youth programs, where it makes sense, have common whatever. And so they started doing that, but because the task was, and they were shooting towards 2016 Holy and Great Council, there was kind of this urgency, like we got to work fast to come up with this plan. So they really, really doubled down and focused on the plan in the beginning because of that. Yeah. And then, we don't need to get into global Orthodox politics today, but things are the way they are. And so there's not likely to have another Holy and Great Council for a while. So they said, okay, we need to keep going. How do we keep going? And so we said we can keep going with the practical side. We're all in communion. We can all work on the same stuff. We have all the same needs. We're in the United States. We face the same problems. Like it just makes sense. Let's start working together. And so that's where we started getting into the programming side. And you had mentioned earlier, we have a few programs, but we one of the things two of the ways that we do it. One, we say here's things that everyone's doing already. We need to create something that helps bring it together. So we created Orthodox Youth Ministries, which is for Orthodox youth and young adults. Their job is to coordinate what's out there, get it working well together, and really elevate our game in the area of youth and young adult ministries. We realized there's no volunteer corps in the Orthodox world anywhere. Like, you have AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, you've got Jesuit Volunteer Corps, the Dominicans, the Mennonites, everyone you could think of has one, but we didn't. And so we said, we created Orthodox Volunteer Corps because that's a different style. That's a ministry nobody had. So we said, let's create it together. It doesn't make sense for us to create, 7 of those or whatever. And same thing with our mental health ministries. We said, nobody's really working in depth on mental health ministries. So we created the Assembly of Bishops. We created a task force on mental health. And then that task force ultimately created an entire ministry. So now we have a director of mental health ministry, St. Geetha, and we have a training called Peace of Mind, where you could host it in a parish where it's targeted towards clergy and lay leadership, but essentially they're trained in. We've partnered with the National Council of Wellbeing, and so we have our own people who are trained, Orthodox Christians who are trained in mental health and giving the courses for mental health first aid, which is like the CPR course in mental health. But we've also had our experts and our Orthodox experts, the leadership of Dr. Mamalakis, Philip Mamalakis, write what we call Orthodox bridging. So when you get peace of mind, it's not just mental health first aid like you can take kind of anywhere. It's mental health first aid put into the context or contextualized from the beginning. There's an hour part in the beginning that contextualizes it with Orthodox Christian theology and understanding. So it's for our people, for our clergy, for our lay leaders, it's going to help them in their ministry and help them move forward rather than just sort of taking it elsewhere. So we've been able to create a lot of these things that didn't exist elsewhere, which leads us to the accessibility ministry as well. So I don't want to keep going on and on, but I know we wanted to eventually get to the accessibility ministry. But if you have,
tell me about it.
I feel like I'm droning, so I feel like whenever I'm droning, I should just step back and stop for a second.
No. This is great. I do have a question for you though. if I wanted to, because I've heard about the mental health first aid thing before, and I do think it's really neat to train people sort of how to triage mental health, right? Like you're not becoming a counselor or something, but you're just sort of learning how to recognize and receive someone who's in a mental health crisis and how to help them.
Yes.
Can I just go on the Assembly of Bishops website and just say, we should do this in Austin? Can we get all of our parishes together and do it? And then I would work with you guys and just put that together for my town?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we do most of the heavy lifting. Essentially, I believe and I'm not the person who's in charge of this, but the basic is that you need a place to host it. There is a cost involved because we do have to pay the National Council of Wellbeing for all these things, so the cost is pretty much a wash. But anyway, there is a cost involved, so they can tell you the different package options. But basically, we help organize the whole thing. We interface with mental health first aid. We send somebody out and deal with all the paying of the bills and all that kind of stuff. So sort of like you pay one fee, we come out and handle it. But usually what's required is that whoever's hosting it finds a way to do lunch or whatever. So they have to handle the meal and the location of where it's going to be hosted. So it's really
have churches. It sort of works out.
Yeah. And so we're doing it we're doing it all over the place. And even now, I think Archbishop Michael had had all his clergy do it. So he did it at a clergy meeting. Metropolitan Gregory's doing the same thing right now for the Carpatho Russia. So it's happening everywhere, and some of the camps are starting to have all of their counselors trained. Helena College just did it. We're going to do another one. St. Tikhon's. We're hoping St. Vladimir's will do one too. We haven't gotten them. We haven't. It hasn't worked out yet with them, but I'm sure it will. All the seminaries are starting to do it. So it's really an important thing that's happening. But it's assemblyofbishops.org// peace of mind, and PEACE, peace, like that, not peace. So peace of mind. Or if you just email mentalhealth@assemblyofbishops.org. That's mentalhealth@assemblyofbishops.org. Matushka Michelle Janakos, who is our program manager for Peace of Mind, will get back to you. Or St. Geetha Thomas, who's the director of the Mental Health Ministries.
That's fantastic.